What's going on, you guys? My name is PTK, aka Pawn to a King if you don't know me, where I help men get empowered with the mindset, with the framework, with the determination, with the motivation to live the lifestyle of a king, where you have freedom and control of your life, compared to being that sacrificial pawn that is exploited and used by others because he lacks the knowledge, the wisdom, and the tools to get through this life. And in today's video, as y'all can tell, I'm doing something a little bit different. This is actually probably my first live, and I'm gonna be going over the male advantage. And this video was inspired by a guy that I've been watching for probably like the last year or two, a guy named Denmo, cool dude. He talks about some of the same topics that I speak of, similar philosophies. And one thing that he was going over is the aspect of the male advantage. And for those of you guys who don't understand what the male advantage is, it's basically centered around a man's timeline. For those of y'all who didn't watch my video, Men Age Like Fine Wine or Age Like Sean Connery, one thing that you need to understand is that as you grow, you start to gain value as a man if you put the work in. If you're a lazy Joe, if you're still stuck on your mama's titties, you are not going to grow into the man that is blooming many grateful fruits of your labor. So essentially what I teach brothers, and what a lot of guys who talk about self-improvement and how a man can become greater, is that you need to put the work in, especially when you're young, when you have the most energy, the most wherewithal, the excitement for life, so that way you can set up your life. Because once you get around the time of 30, 40, you're gonna start to really see the fruits of your labor from who you were when you were a young teenager to an early adult. And a lot of guys, they mess this up because they're focused on things that are short-term investments when you should be thinking long-term investment. Like a person who's always making money, they're thinking long-term. So when you guys make decisions, you should be thinking long-term in regards to what it is you want for your life and how to shape it. In this video, he goes over literally that. So let's get into it. But before we do, man, make sure y'all like the video, man. Y'all ain't giving me enough likes. Make sure y'all like the video if you watch it. And also, if you're new, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Help me grow this channel into what I know it can be. And without further ado, we get into it, all right?
Den mode. This is what happens when you're between the age of 25 to 30. It's where you've had enough experiences that you know what you want and you can narrow your focus onto one path and work as hard as you can towards it. Assuming you played 18 to 25 right, you've already graduated school, you've already worked part-time, full-time, you've already done a bunch of stuff, and most importantly, you understand yourself better because you're a mature adult, you're 25. So if you're under 25 and watching this right now, don't even worry, bro. You're still basically retarded. I was literally retarded till I was 25 years old, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
And what he means is you're just a man who doesn't have any guidance. Look, you guys need to understand something. When you're a man, it's gonna be hard for you to know exactly who you are. It's gonna be hard to know exactly what you want because you don't have any life experience. That's why I tell you guys, go out there, try new things, do new things. And if you feel, your life that you're going towards a certain path, do not be afraid to do it. A lot of guys that get stuck in this box, they get stuck in a conventional path because they feel like they have no options, or two, they're afraid. And one thing as a man, when you face your fears, when you eat your fear, when you go towards your fear head on, oftentimes in life, that is the most fulfilling thing that you can do. So this is very important so you guys can kind of discover what you want, who you want, the type of women that you like, the type of lifestyle that you want to live. Certain things are going to resonate with you, but they can't resonate with you if you at home playing Fortnite for 5 hours. I'm just being real. Or if you living off your mama's couch and you're not doing anything to put in, you're just a deadbeat, you're not going to figure out who you are. So that's why that's important.
This is like miserable because while everybody else is going out partying, you're at home working, doing boring, mundane shit all day. You don't get instant gratification. You're not settling down into a relationship, getting a nice car, getting a mortgage, AKA a 30-year loan with the bank. You're not posting pictures on Facebook, getting ice cream and shit. It's tough, man. And that's where I am right now, bro. So I totally feel you. And the reason I'm working so hard right now is because in a couple years at 30 is when life really begins for men. The male advantage, where all of your hard work is starting to pay off, or all of the bad decisions, poor choices, and mistakes that you've made are starting to show how fucked up your life is.
And that's facts. You know, I can speak from experience. I'm 28, I'm about to be 29 in a couple months, but you really start to see the fruits of your labor. If you guys was not taking care of your body early 20s, by the late 20s, early 30s, you're gonna be feeling it. A lot of you guys who became debt slaves and you didn't manage your money and you made a lot of bad financial choices in your late 20s and in your 30s, you're gonna be trying to catch up. And the thing you guys need to understand and why so many people, they lack foresight is they either party in their 20s because, they want to extend in college, they don't want to grow up, they don't want to face the reality of life, or they just didn't have no knowledge and no wisdom to make proper decisions. And that's why they are where they're at right now. So essentially, the older you get, the more your life reflects the decisions that you've made, especially when you hit that 30 mark. And that's when you're gonna have to make a lot of hard choices within your 20s. So that way, when you have those choices when you become older, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to make, and your life is gonna be a lot easier to live.
This is when most dudes literally start to give up and quit. They settle down, they call it a day, they throw in the towel. It begins around 25 to 30, but it's very slow and hard to notice. But after 30, you see it everywhere. And it's like socially acceptable for dudes to just give up, drop off, and decline because everybody else is doing it. It's like this weird thing that everybody else is okay with. And I think the biggest reason is because men don't understand that women peak in their 20s.
And also too, man, when you get older, you gotta have that LeBron juice. I'm not gonna specify what it is, but you gotta get better with age, man. That's kind of what my knowledge is. That's what these sites' knowledge is. We're giving you things that will make you have superpowers. So that way, as you get older, it seems like you're getting more younger, more vital with life, more happy with life. You guys need to follow this, I promise you.
Men actually peak later in life. It's very tough for men to have success when it comes to dating, status, etc. But if you're a woman and you're at least decent looking, your 20s are very easy for you. Everybody loves you, everybody wants to hang out with you, every man wants to date you, and you just get access to all of these things that a man never gets to experience. An average looking woman gets more compliments in a week than a man does in an entire decade. But after 30, the tables turn, and women know this, which is why they start sniping dudes as they get closer to 30 or between the age of 30 to 45.
And one thing I want y'all to understand, for those of y'all who follow me on TikTok, I made a video on this today, or Instagram. I made a video on this today, the 5 things that men need to learn about women in their 20s. And one of the things that I said is that you can't be weak and you can't get taken advantage of and be naive. Because when you get to this age that this dude is talking about, there are gonna be a lot of women who are skeezers, who literally do not deserve one drop of your cojones, if you get what I'm talking about, who are gonna try to appear as if they're a good woman for you. And you need to have strength, and you need to have wherewithal at a young age where you have experience. Because the thing about this, the tough decisions that you make when you're younger, they don't have as much blowback. But the older you get and the stupider decisions that you make, the harder the blowback it comes. And that's why you really need to understand women, because like he's saying, if you're a dude and you're trying to accumulate wealth, resources, wisdom, if you do not know how to discern good from bad, and you don't have a program or a funnel process, you will get taken advantage of if you fall for what the society says that a man should do, and you should get married and you should do this and did it and treat your woman like a queen. Look, a person only gets queen treatment if they show the qualities of a queen. If you show the qualities of a pig, I'm going to treat you like a pig, period.
Because these are guys that are now making money, their body's in good shape, they do something that they love, and they are finally reaching their peak. Whereas women know that they're getting closer to 30 and they're gonna have less and less dating options every single year. And this doesn't mean a woman's value as a person. I'm just talking dating value. How many options that women have and how high quality those options are compared to when she was younger in her 20s. But if you fuck up 18 to 30, then you're gonna completely miss this window. You're gonna have less time, less energy, and you're gonna not believe in yourself as much. You're gonna have such a strong sense of urgency and stress that it'll be so much harder for you to take advantage of this. So let's assume you got through 18 to 30 and you did everything right. This is what your 30s and early 40s will look like. You have come very close to mastering a specific skill, and you have 5 to 10 years of experience. There's something called a 10,000 hour rule, which basically takes daily practice for about 3 to 5 years, depending the pace that you work at. So after 18 to 25, when you're fucking around, you really, really narrow down on that skill and put a solid 5 to 10 years in on it. And at that point, now you're in your 30s and you are basically at a master level in this skill.
And what he's talking about a few principles, but the main one, I like to call it the slight edge. Y'all can look at it. It's a book by, I think, Greg Olson. I read it about 5-6 years ago, where it talks about the rate of compounding return. Whatever you do at a young age, when you continue to do it similarly, the results become exponential, not linear. So what he's saying is that when you guys are young, and let's say you're trying to be an electrician, or let's say you're trying to be, an HVAC, or let's say you're trying to be a plumber, whenever you're doing your apprenticeship, you're just making the same amount of money as somebody in college. And you notice you're not having fun. You're cleaning, feces out of people's pipes, or you might get a little electroshock therapy when you're doing, your electricianal work. But essentially what happens as you continue to hone that skill, you are able to make a ton of money. When you guys look at a master electrician, or like, the equivalent for a plumber or HVAC or whatever, that's when you make that big boy money. So I highly recommend you guys, I don't know what age y'all are in, if you're 22 or even if you're like 25, look at the job you're doing, look at the profession you're doing, and ask yourself a few questions. Ask yourself, is this going to be around 20 years from now? Am I going to be replaced by AI? Can I really advance and progress to live a highly efficient and successful lifestyle? And if the skill that you're doing right then and there does not do it, you can still work on that skill. I'm not saying you can't, but you need to find and build a skill that will allow you to traverse the time, meaning that it's always going to be around. A lot of guys get caught up in trying to work in an office and trying to work in feminine fields, or fields that you can't really progress, especially if you're, a minority, a black guy or whatever. A man should always have a skill that's going to make him money long term, because it's going to show in the back end. I promise. He's going to explain it.
Now, obviously, throughout the rest of your life, you're going to continue to improve. But as of right now, in that niche specifically, whether it's like trades, engineering, finance, law, entrepreneurship, you are the cream of the crop. You are really good at a high fucking level. This means that you're not replaceable anymore. You have so much skill and value that a company can't just fire you and hire somebody else to do the exact same thing as you. You are very unique, especially if you go into a specific niche, which makes you super valuable both to employees and companies, but also to society, also to women, also to friends around you. Your personality is developed, your skills, your connections, your perspective on things. You ever notice how old people are so set in their ways? It's a good thing and it's also a bad thing. It's because they have matured into what they are. And if you're a good character, it's a fucking great thing. Now, because of this skill and hard work that you put up front, you are now making a very high income. We're talking top 1 to 5% of men, easily over $200,000 to $300,000 per year. And this is on.
And me personally, I don't really get too caught up in the number, but I will say you guys do not want to live in the poverty line, because it's going to be very hard for you to embrace and embody the mindsets of what I'm telling you guys when it comes to like being a leader, being dominant, having freedom, having independence. It's going to be very hard if you're living off of government assistance. But at the same time, I'm not an Andrew Tate pseudo, bro, you got to have 5 Bugattis. Because once you look at people like, I may not have touched that money before, but you can talk to rich people. You can talk to people who are extremely successful. And while those things may be nice, they don't have the return of the work that you put in to get it. I know somebody who's makes 7 figures. I know a few people, and they say that those things are cool, but they don't make you. So you guys don't need to focus on being uber rich, because that doesn't make you as a man, and you can find happiness without it, unless that's just something that you want to do.
On top of all the money that you've saved up over the last 10 years. While everybody else was going out buying brand new trucks for like $60,000 or putting down payments on houses that are going to take them 30 years, all that hours of work and money that you invested is now in your bank account. Because of that, you can actually reinvest into starting a business or switching into pursuing a passion. For example, if you wanted to start a YouTube channel or become a musician, now at the age of 30 or 35, you have all this money that you saved up, all this skill that you can get paid high for. Now you can take a risk that you couldn't when you were younger. Most people think that entrepreneurs start at around the age of 20 or 21. That's a fucking lie. The average age for an entrepreneur is a guy that's usually about 40, 41, because he got that skill, worked in the industry for a bunch of years, so he learned everything about it, has a bunch of money saved up, is currently making a bunch of money, and most importantly, knows how to be a man, social, charismatic, talk to people, make connections, and he has a huge network of people. So all of a sudden, he finally has the resources that it takes to successfully launch a business.
And I want to say this, everybody's path is different, but what he's telling you is fact. A lot of guys, they try to put the horse before the carriage, or what is it, the carriage before the horse. When it comes to shit like real estate, when it comes to stuff like, starting your own business, when it comes to things where you're making big boy investments, You need to have your financial foundation. Just like what I said at the beginning of the video. If you're somebody who becomes a lottery winner and you do not know how to save and manage your wealth, you will be broke tomorrow. A lot of times guys try to go into these business endeavors, but they don't have a foundation of wisdom and knowledge on how to deal with their money. So even if you had a business, you are going to be doing the exact same thing that you did with your job, because it's not your profession that's holding you back, it's your mindset. Like when you guys look at a book, great book, it's called The Millionaire Next Door. Now this is from the 90s, so keep in mind it's like 25, 30 years outdated, but the principles of it still stand. What the person was talking about, the author, I think it was a guy, what he was saying is that the average millionaire wasn't somebody who started a Fortune 500 company or invested in the stock market and he won big, he was a day trader. It was somebody who was working an average job as a doctor, as a dentist, as a school teacher even, and all they did was save their money and had foundational financial principles that allowed them to invest their money, that by the time they were in their mid 40s to their late, mid 50s, they had the money saved. You guys need to be working on your financial foundation now, your wisdom foundation now, your social foundation now, because when you really want to make these opportunities later in life, it's going to be easier. It's very hard to make a decision on something financial when you're loads in debt and you can barely pay your bills. It's hard to make a business when you have no connections and you don't even know how to go out there and negotiate for things. That's why you have to do it. But either guys are just too lazy or guys are too afraid or not disciplined enough to make the hard decisions when they're younger, so that way they can blossom and thrive when they get older. It happens all the time. But again, that's why you're on PTK mindset. And sometimes if you want to go from being a pawn to a king, you got to make those decisions that most people would never make, because that's what's going to separate you from the average mindset of the guy, living in a Western society today.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't launch a business in your 20s, bro. I did. I launched a couple. Some of them worked, some of them weren't so good, and some of them really paid off. The point I'm making is, I don't want you to burn out and fail and then give up, when in reality, it actually gets a lot easier as you enter the male advantage, because you have so much more to offer. And at this point, you are smart enough to take care of your body. I used to be awful. I would just eat junk food all the time. We're talking like sugar, candy, chocolate, pizza every single day. And I'm a diabetic, so that's a very bad idea. But I was so frustrated that I couldn't gain weight. Everything that I ate, I would just piss out all the proteins. I'd work out all the time, and then I would literally still not gain weight. And this was my vice. It wasn't just to gain weight. It was because when I was a kid, that's what I did when I was sad. I just ate a bunch. So you'd think I'd be a huge fuck, right? Well, you can thank diabetes that I'm not. But it took me years to start really dialing in on my nutrition, starting to track my calories and exercising regularly. And I'm not the most juicy guy ever, but I'm gonna be getting bigger and bigger as my metabolism slows down and I really start to niche in on this part of my life. It'll be a lot easier to gain weight as you get older, but you can also afford personal trainers, a cook, a dietitian, a nutritionist. This is all stuff that takes up a lot of your time. And I feel for you guys that are grinding on a business, and because of that, your health is taking a back seat. You should at least work out a couple days a week, but I know what it's like to only do the bare minimum physically, just so that you can get ahead. And that's understandable, but by your mid-30s, your body is usually totally dialed in. All the guys that are going out with girls in their 20s, when they're in their 30s, it's not just because they're 33 or 34. Plenty of 33, 36-year-old dudes look like total fucking shit. But the guys that actually take their health seriously, they look amazing. They look like they're in their 20s still. A couple gray hairs in the beard here and there, but that's exactly what girls want. They want a guy that still looks good, but has the experience and the assets.
And the reason why he keeps mentioning things about that's what girls want is because he knows most of you average dudes want to hear girl, 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 women, 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 because your brain is just wired to do things to chase women. I don't give a damn what you dudes be saying. The vast majority of traffic that I see on these sites like TikTok, that I see on these sites like, what's another one? YouTube. Majority of the time, it has something to do with women. That's just how y'all men are. So a lot of y'all be capping when you say, oh, I ain't worried about these women. I'm focused on... Okay, bro, let's look at your search history and see if that's true. But yeah, what he's saying is true, though.
That's why you see all these dudes crushing it are in great shape in their 30s. Now, in your 20s, naturally, you're going to bang some chicks, go on some dates, some more than others. But by the age of 30, you're actually going to be confident in your own abilities. You mature, you know what works, you know what doesn't work. You've invested in mentors or courses. For example, I got really good at talking to girls, and now that's something that people pay me a bunch of money to help solve the problem for them. Lawyers are another good example. A good lawyer costs hundreds of dollars per hour. Tradesmen, plumbers, because if somebody can solve your problem that quick and efficiently, it saves you so much time and energy. So by your 30s, you've already invested in a course on dating, social skills, attracting, talking to girls, approaching them in real life, as well as business courses, and you've read a bunch of books. So you have all this knowledge. You might not think much about it now, bro, but when you're going to the gym and it's late at night, instead of scrolling on your phone or listening to music, put on a couple audiobooks, put on some podcasts where you can actually learn something. Because over time, you're gonna rip through a bunch of courses and books, and you're gonna have so much knowledge. But most importantly, you've went out and you've executed. And since you've gone out there into the real world, you've tried, you've failed, but you've had some successes. And the memory of those successes is what gives you confidence.
And that's facts. And that's why a lot of guys, when they get older, they still kind of act like a boy. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why, because you know what really makes you a man? When you get stripped of who you are and stripped of what you thought you could do, and you start from ground zero and you build yourself back up. Because there are no guarantees in this life, especially when it comes to living a life outside of the ordinary, which, you know, the mindset I have and that I teach to guys on my channel, I think like that. And long story short, you have to go through that failure because it gives you an unshakable confidence and belief in who you are and what you can achieve, that no matter what life throws at you or no matter what situation you have, you will not become defeated in yourself. And also, FYI too, once you guys believe in a higher power, like me, I believe in the Most High, the Bible, that confidence is even higher because you have an immovable force that is always with you no matter what. So they kind of go hand in hand, but for those of you guys who don't necessarily believe in that, this is extremely important, and that's why you guys need to fail and get back up and learn and gain knowledge and wisdom and learn from what you've done in the past, discern the good and the bad, and analyze and create a plan for how you can move forward in the future, because most of your bad decisions in life are going to be based off of ignorance. But if you keep making stupid decisions because you chose to remain ignorant, that's on you.
You know that you can do it because you've done it in the past. You're also going to have a lot of career momentum. Because assuming you've put in the last 5 to 10 years working towards something, you are now deep into that industry, and each year you get a little bit better. Now, most athletes slow down towards their 30s, but in the UFC, the average age of champions is usually between the age of 31 to 36. Even though there's young, hungry guys that are in their 20s and they are super powerful, they don't have the technique, they don't have the experience. They just haven't been around long enough. And they do start to slow down in their late 30s, especially at the lighter weight classes. But besides this example, a great example is Hollywood, actors and musicians. All of the guys getting lead roles in movies, TV series, documentaries are all guys in their late 30s, early 40s. Because the typical male action hero can't be a dude in his 20s. That's too young. He looks young, he doesn't know anything yet. We don't believe that he can be a hero during a crisis. You need a man that's been around and done some shit. And a man hasn't been around and done some shit until he's in his 30s. Lead roles, hero roles, a guy that could be a father, a guy that has years of experience in a specific industry. We just take people more seriously when they're in their 30s or 40s. And business reflects that. This is when a man begins to earn the most money of his life. The next thing that's great is that every woman wants to fuck you. Now, if you set up your life the right way, every woman could want to fuck you in your 20s. But most of you guys haven't done that. And most of you guys probably would be better off not doing that because long term it's not going to be sustainable. But now that you have all these things I just laid out here, you have a high paying skill, career, niche, you have a bunch of money saved up, your body's in good condition, you're smart, you're mature, you've got confidence, charisma, and experience with women, you are a fucking catch. Every woman wants a man that has his life together.
And I even tell you like this, I'm not at that point yet. Now, somebody who could talk to me, a woman who could talk to me, she'll definitely be able to tell. And one thing that I have noticed is as I've grown as a man, that is true. You know, when I was in college and even before, it was just based off of like my style and the type of guy I was trying to portray, but it wasn't in me. So whenever I met certain women, it would always come to a point where the real me would be revealed and either she would leave or I couldn't maintain a facade. It wasn't in me, it was just on me. So I will tell you guys this, as you start to grow and you start to gain these things, they do allow you to feel more confident and quote unquote become a catch. But you always need to remember this. The foundation for who you are as a man is not your extrinsic things, but who you are and what you represent. And that's what a woman really loves. Because there's dudes make $500 million. They're still simps. Women still walk all over them. There's guys who had this great body. You know, they call it the Greek body and all this. And they're still pussies, bro. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that those things are just external, if that makes sense. Those are just the fruits of your labor, but it's really the tree, it's really the roots, the system that's set up that can allow those fruits to grow, because anybody can take the fruits off the trees. Example, anybody can take your money, your woman can leave you, your friends can leave you, but they can't strip you of who you are until you pass away. So that's what's going to really allow women to fall in love with you and to want to be with you and see you as a man, not see you as a provider. No, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with provider, but literally just to only give her money. Does that make sense?
There's a famous saying, women wait at the finish line and they fuck the winners. Who cares if you have an idea? They want the guy that's already accomplished everything. And if you take care of your body, you're still gonna look like you're in your 20s. And this was a hard pill to swallow for me, because when I was like 18, 19, 20, I was like, why are all the girls my age banging dudes that are in their 30s? That's weird, that's gross. But now, towards the end of my 20s, I'm like, oh, I get it now. It makes total sense. Women hate this. They actually shame men that date women in their 20s once women get to their 30s. And that's because all the women in their 20s that dated the wrong guy, the fuckboy, the player, the Chad, that left them, now all the good guys that they didn't want to date are leveling up in life, they're hitting the male advantage, and they're dating beautiful women in their 20s. So all of a sudden these women are like, oh, that's awful. You should be dating women your own age. No.
And another thing, man, a man with a king mindset does not give a damn how society tries to shame him for dating a younger woman. That's the nature of women. They're gonna date older guys. That's the nature of men. They're gonna date younger women. If somebody doesn't like it, their opinion is literally irrelevant.
No, you ignored these guys until they were the only option you had. And that's not a shot at women. It's just, again, men and women are on a different timeline. And this is only when it comes to dating, guys. It is not a human's value, it's just dating. Now, something that you're also gonna notice is that you're gonna lose contact with a lot of your close friends. This is a natural part of life. Every couple of years, we start new social circles. But a lot of the people that you went to high school with or college with, they went down the traditional fuck around and then settle down at 30, they start to decline. So it's gonna hit you really hard when you're living a completely different life. All of a sudden, you're not even gonna have the same problems that other friends do. While they were out partying, messing around and shit like that, thinking, hey, I gotta get it out of my system now because when I'm older, I'm not gonna have as much fun. Dudes like you and me, we're putting in all the fucking work and grinding instead of going out so that we can make more money later on. Now, money isn't the best example, but it's also decisions. Guys are gonna find way more vices. They're gonna be playing video games. They're not gonna be eating very healthy food. The metabolism speeds up, right? So they're gonna be getting fat, and they're gonna settle down with chicks, not because that's the best chick for them, but because they're lonely. And instead of fixing these problems, they're like, I'll just get a girlfriend. And then you're gonna see dudes in their 30s that are like miserable. And it's like they're in a completely different state of life than you. They actually look older than you do.
And that's the man who ages like spoiled milk. Because in that same video I did about how men age like Sean Connery, I also explained that a man, you can age like milk. And you see it all the time. And you can't really feel sorry for men, especially nowadays, because with all this information online, you know, quote unquote, the manosphere community, the red pill community, a lot of guys like Denmo, other guys who talk about self-improvement, self-help or whatever, so many books. I mean, come on, man. If you chose not to go down that path and you chose to, you know, dwell in whatever you were dwelling in, that's on you. I'm glad that a lot of you guys are watching me on this video, because I have seen a lot of people go down that path, and I don't judge people for their lifestyle. But I will say this, if you're not going for what you want and trying your best to become the best person of you so you can have happiness, there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't want to hear you complain, and I don't want to hear you talk about regrets, because we all had the similar decision. But if you chose to do something bad and fuck around with your life, that's on you, and nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. But also keep this in mind too. If you're a guy and you're in your early 30s and you feel like you messed up, you can still try and recover a lot from a lot of the bad decisions you made and try to, you know, find happiness in what you have in front of you. Just because you didn't start when you were 20 or 18 or 19 doesn't mean you can't start when you're 28, when you're 30. You can. You know what I mean? It's going to be harder for you to reach that level that you wanted And also there's going to be other obstacles that are going to come in your way. But regardless, you can still start. And I have respect for any man who's willing to start to change his life, no matter what age he is. But just don't give me no regrets and excuses when you get older because you didn't want to make the tough choices now.
And it's gonna really hurt you because obviously you want your bros to succeed. You want them to do stuff with you, which is why I highly encourage you guys to help your bros out and make sure that they get to the same level as you do if you can. Next, bro, your family members are gonna start to pass away. This is a sad fact of life, but it's true. So some people, they lose family members sooner than others. I lost my mom just a year ago in my 20s. And most guys probably won't lose their family members till they're like in their 30s. But as they get older, you're gonna have to start to handle them not being as sharp as they used to be, you know, putting them in old age homes or moving them in with your house so that you can take care of them, funerals, taxes, all that stuff. So you're basically gonna slowly become a man. And I know this sounds blunt, bro, but your parents are gonna die one day. And I know you don't think you can take it right now, but when they do, all of a sudden, you're gonna have to be strong enough to handle it.
And that's one thing I want y'all to understand. Like, whether you like it or not, men, we are the foundation of the family structure. We are. That's just how the Most High made us. You know, I see a lot of guys that complain and they bitch and they groan about the type of life, the type of role that they want to live or want to have in life. But as a man, you're going to be the rock. As a man, when people die, when people pass away, you're going to be the one, when you have knowledge and wisdom and sense, who's gonna keep the ball moving. You know, when it comes to your family getting old, they're gonna look to people to guide and watch over them. You know, and if you have that opportunity, do that. You know, if they helped you and raised you up from a small child, don't run away from it. You know, that's just life. Again, that's not only why you guys need to have experience, but that's why you guys need to make the proper choices in life. Because when a man has wisdom and he has knowledge and he has finances, he develops power. And you're gonna have the power to watch over your grandma or watch over your grandpa, your mom, or your dad, or whoever. As long as they are doing things to help you succeed and not tearing you down in life. This is extremely important. This is another reason why you guys should get on your shit, man.
And when you do go through that, it's gonna be painful, but all of a sudden you're gonna be like, holy shit, I'm a man now. I had to deal with this and I was okay. And that's just family death, bro. There's also gonna be a bunch of shit along the way. People are gonna come after you. They're gonna try and fuck your life up. There's a million different ways they can do it. But when a man starts to succeed in something, he becomes a target. Remember that. Always be careful about who you associate with. Now, at this point, let's say you're about 35. You have a very unique choice right now where you can decide to cash in your chips and settle down. Let's say you have a couple mil in the bank or even just 1 or 2 mil. You're doing good relative to where you live. You have a job you love or a business you love, a passion project's taking off. You're charismatic, you're in good shape, you're killing it. And then a baddie 23-year-old comes in and she's like, I love you, let's settle down. She's gonna be everything that you ever wanted in a woman. She's got a low body count, she's conservative.
That's important, fellas.
If she doesn't have social media, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's time. And she's gonna be a lot hotter than the girls that you used to date and bang because you're at a higher level now. That's what you guys always forget. You think that, okay, well, I got a couple decent looking girls in the past, but I've like hit my limit, you know? It's on the decline now. As you level up and go through the male advantage, you'll be able to attract girls that didn't even fucking look at you in your 20s. Now, if you do blow up on social media in your 20s, it's a little bit different. You can bang a lot of thoughts. But the point is, you have a choice now of settling down, starting a family, raising some kids, if that's what you want to do. And what's cool is you have enough of a head start that it'll be a lot easier to provide for your kids, put them in school, pay for the university or whatever, get a house and all that. But you have the choice now to do this or keep it going. Just milk that shit. And things will stay this speed until about the age of 40. At 40, naturally, things are...
And he's just kind of going into, like, when you get older, like 40s, 50s, that male advantage that you had from working in your 20s to receive the rewards of your labors in your 30s, he's just kind of going into it as well. So I don't really want to make this video too long. You know, we can all live the type of life that we want, but in general, humans have a certain path that they go in their life. Typically young, going to school, learn from other people, following other people. You know, late teens, early 20s, if you're on that path, you start to discover yourself, especially in your mid 20s. And then towards your late 20s, early 30s, that's when you really start to hit your prime. You start to be able to get ahead financially. You have money saved. You have the knowledge and the wisdom. Like a wise man once said, he said once you get it to around your 30s, that's when the prime of your mental, it kind of evens out with your physical. Because when you're young, you're very strong, but you don't know shit. But then when you're old, you're very wise, but your body can't keep up with your mind. So when you're in your 30s, that's when things kind of, equal out. You have an equilibrium. So that's why it's very important. And just to kind of summarize what the brother is talking about, the earlier you start, the more seeds you plant when you're younger, you're going to receive a huge return once you guys get older. So that's essentially the reason why you guys need to start this at a young age, and why you need to stay focused, because it's going to give you a guideline and a roadmap as you get older, that you're not going to have the same health issues, you're not going to have the same financial issues, you're not going to lack the knowledge and wisdom where you're making stupid decisions when you're 40 and 50 that you should have learned when you were 20 and 25. So when you gain this wisdom, when you gain this knowledge, it gives you the foundation that you can walk with for the rest of your life. And if you guys do decide to have kids and build a family with a woman or women, essentially you're going to be able to teach them the ideals that they need in order to succeed and thrive in life, and pass the generation of wealth, not just financially, but the wealth of knowledge and wisdom in your mind into your next generation, so you can leave a legacy not only for yourself but for everybody around you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Again, make sure you guys like the video, and also I want y'all to comment down if I missed something and you feel like you can add some sort of value that a young man should use to take advantage of his male timeline. Put it in the comment section, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. I'm gonna catch you in the next one, man. Peace.